Hi, my name is Vikram Vaidyanathan. I am a managing director at Z47. We're a venture capital firm, manage roughly about $1.5 billion in dollars and invest in very early stage startups at seed, Series A, Series B stages. And prominent investments would be companies like Razorpay, OneCard, GoQuick, Jupiter, Five Star Finance. All of them are large financial services companies, Oxizo, and so on.
As of today, what is an investor's perspective of the fintech sector?
Sure. So one, I'm an investor, but I'm also an optimist and maybe a fintech believer. So take all my comments from with that context. So the way I think about it is that fintech is in the middle journey, and which essentially means that we've had about 10 years of the fintech ecosystem. And if you take the 10 years of the fintech ecosystem, the overall fintech market cap, and if you just take fintech companies, is about roughly about 100 billion. So you put together everything from the Razorpays and the PhonePays and Zerodha and Grow, and you put all of those companies together, it's roughly about 100 billion. That's gotten created in roughly 10 years. So that's not bad. And if you take the incumbents, which is the HDFC banks and ICICIs of the world and so on, that market cap is roughly about 600 billion. Now, the interesting thing is, half that market cap of 600 billion from the incumbents has gotten created in the last, I would say, 7, 8 years, which means that these companies have doubled in a very short period of time, and that's the nature of fintech. So, if you apply that to the fintech ecosystem, you will see that that 100 billion number is set to double pretty quickly in a short period of time, and then keep going from there on. That's the nature of fintech. Now, a large part of this doubling will come with existing companies, but a lot is going to startups. And so, with that context, we are very excited about investing in the next set of leaders who can actually go and serve the next set of Indians who need to be served. Now, with that opportunity and the India stack available, I think you can create, call it roughly $1 billion of market cap or value, which is about 100 million of revenue, by going after any set or cut of 1 to 5 million users. And some cases it might be 1 million very rich people who choose to live their financial life on your platform. That, I will tell you, very easily leads to a billion of value or more. And you will be surprised to see some of the most recognized banks really have a million accounts that really drive most of the value for them. And even if you're not getting after those rich affluent users, but if you get to 4 to 5 million users who really consume one product deeply, and that product really matters, whether it is a loan product, whether it's an investment product, whether it's an insurance product, I will actually bet on the fact that you are able to get to 100 million of value. So you don't have to create a humongous company that touches 100 million people in order to actually create large value. In our portfolio, we have significant companies such as like a Five Star, which even with touching hundreds of thousands of borrowers, actually is able to create a lot of value, and one of the most recognized lending names out there today.
Are there any subsectors or business models that particularly excite you in fintech?
It's like picking favorite children. And so I will plead the fifth, but I would say overall, I'm actually excited about across the board. In some sense, if you just say payments, and I started off investing in fintech with payments, with investments like Razorpay and so on, is a little bit more played out because because of the large companies that have gotten created in payments and the large payment pain points that have already been solved. But even there, if I look at our thesis, we still think vertical payments is not solved. We still think there is a way, because of how big UPI credit can be, that you can actually have a consumer payment startup that goes after UPI credit in a very different way. So even there, I would say there are opportunities. In lending, I think there will continue to be very large companies because the market is both underpenetrated and underserved when it comes to lending. And we've just made, I think, 4 investments in lending companies over the last 12 to 18 months. Wealth and insurance, I think, are in pretty much level one of company creation as well as value creation, because they're just so underpenetrated with anywhere between, I would say, the top 7 to 20 million users who really have access to it, if that.
Let's move on to pitching and like best practices in pitching. What kind of founders do you invest in? What kind of businesses? What do you look for in them? If you can take us to that.
Yeah. So I think the first thing, when you're telling your story as a founder, I would start with the pain point that you see or see in the world and how you're solving that pain point. So because as an investor, I like to look at this. There is a set of users who has a deep pain in their life which is not solved, and therefore, if you can solve that pain point, they will actually give you money, give you values, or in terms of time, money, something that they're going to give you, which is then monetizable in some way. So start with that pain point, and then start with how many people have that pain point. Because if only your mother has that pain point, then it's a very good solution for your home, but it's not a startup. But if there are 20 million mothers who have that pain point, then that's actually a company that can be created, right? So bring that pain point to life. Second, bring it to life if you're done solving that pain point in the fully magical way, when you're done with the world, which is, this is the world I found it, lots of pain. I solved all that pain point in the world. Oh, look how magical this new world is. So bring that to life. That as a founder, when you're done with creating this new world, what does it look like? Because sometimes, and actually this I will say, most investors lack imagination. So, and definitely lack a founder's imagination to imagine what all is possible. So really bring to life that something is possible. And so that's where I would start. So as a founder, your idea is not new. It is a new way of doing something with money. So it's this fundamental relationship with money, but it's a new way of doing something that the user wants with money. So bring to life why that was not possible before. Because you're going to take some interesting way of doing something with money, which hasn't been done before. So you'd say, hey, this was not, something has happened in the world, right? The India Stack has made it possible. Credit on UPI has made it possible. Something has made it possible why it was not possible. Or, there's a whole host of 4 or 5 things that have happened, with, Aadhaar coming together, plus RTAs coming together, plus all of this data being freely available, plus I'm able to triangulate with it AA, account aggregator framework, that something is possible. So why is your idea possible today? And so it's what investors colloquially call the why now, right? And so answer that why now question for your startup. So the first question was why it matters, which is a pain point and how many users. The second is sort of why now. The third most important for us is why you, which is why are you uniquely suited in some way, you, your team, uniquely suited to actually solve this opportunity. Often, some of it comes from your deep experience. Maybe you worked in a place that did this. You worked at a bank, you worked at a regulator, you worked at RBI Innovation Hub, you worked somewhere, and you actually were able to spot this problem, and then there is some unique insight that you have. Sometimes you don't have this unique insight. Sometimes you're 25 years old. I've backed people younger than that, like at Razorpay, but they were uniquely suited to that problem because they didn't have that baggage. And they essentially said, we don't have the baggage, but we're phenomenal engineers, but we understand this pain point, and we can actually solve this pain point like no one else has thought about it because we don't have all the baggage. We're not thinking bank first. We're actually thinking tech first, and that's the edge. So really articulate why you, and in some cases, you might not know something about the idea. You might not know the regulation about the idea. You might not know, you might not have the bank relationships. So say clearly, this is what our strengths are and this is what we bring to the table. But we do think that we might have to hire 1 or 2 people which actually complement us. So that's the third part of that pitch, which is sort of why you. The last is some kind of business model, which is a way of making money. It's not at the stages that we invest in. It is not the be all and end all because we are investing early. But I do want, especially in financial services, if you can't articulate that you're taking this risk and actually dealing with people's money, and there isn't a clear business model there,